Let's take you to that live.
At the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program. Last year, Iran fired 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Each of these missiles carries a ton of explosives and threatens the lives of hundreds of people. Soon, those missiles could carry a nuclear payload, threatening the lives not of hundreds, but of millions. Iran is gearing up to produce 10,000 of those ballistic missiles within 3 years. Now just imagine 10,000 tons of TNT landing on a country the size of New Jersey. This is an intolerable threat. It too must be stopped. Iran is now working on what it calls the new plan to destroy Israel. You see, the old plan failed. Iran and its proxies tried to encircle Israel with a ring of fire and to attack us with the horrible attack of October 7th. But the people of Israel, the soldiers of Israel, rose like lions to defend our country. We crushed Hamas, we devastated Hezbollah, we hit Iranian proxies in Syria and Yemen. And when Iran directly attacked us twice last year, we struck back inside Iran itself. Yet in defending ourselves, we also defend others. We defend our Arab neighbors. They too have suffered from Iran's campaign of chaos and carnage. Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran, and I have a message for them. Our fight is not with you. Our fight is with the brutal dictatorship that has oppressed you for 46 years. I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient peoples will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan. And this is why for decades, it's led millions in the chants of death to Israel and death to America. Today, Israel is responding to those genocidal calls with action and with a call of our own. Long live Israel and long live America. Our action will help make the world a much safer place. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time. It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now. The hardest decision any leader has to make is to thwart a danger before it is fully materialized. Nearly a century ago, facing the Nazis, a generation of leaders failed to act in time. They were paralyzed by the horrors of World War I. They were determined to avoid war at all costs, and they got the worst war ever. They adopted a policy of appeasement. They closed their eyes and ears to all the warning signs. That failure to act resulted in World War II, the deadliest war in history. It claimed the lives of 60 million, including 6 million Jews, a third of my people. After that war, the Jewish people and the Jewish state vowed, never again. Well, never again is now. Today, Israel has shown that we have learned the lessons of history. When enemies vow to destroy you, believe them. When enemies build weapons of mass death, stop them. As the Bible teaches us, when someone comes to kill you, rise and act first. This is exactly what Israel has done today. We have risen like lions to defend ourselves. Over 3,000 years ago, Moses gave the people of Israel a message that has steeled their resolve ever since. Be strong and courageous, he said. Today, our strong and courageous soldiers and people stand together to defend ourselves against those who seek our destruction. And by defending ourselves, we defend many others, and we roll back a murderous tyranny. Generations from now, history will record that our generation stood its ground, acted in time, and secured our common future. May God bless Israel. May God bless the forces of civilization everywhere. Thank you.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking there at a press conference directly to camera, saying that, making it very clear that he says Israel had no choice. In his words, he says, we have risen like lions to defend ourselves. Well, Noor O'Day joins us from Amman. Noor, the Israeli Prime Minister there making it clear that this, in his words, is a defensive action.
Yes, well, this is how it would be framed no matter what the context, Sarah. Recall that the attacking Iran is a point of consensus in Israeli politics. All Israeli politicians from across the political spectrum view Iran as an existential threat. And in the past 20 months or so, we've seen Israel and Iran exchange strikes due to the escalating violence initiated all the time by Israel in strikes against Iran. This is different, though. This is a strike that, according to Israeli reports, targets the assassination of key figures in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, as well as key and strategic positions and military assets in Iran. We've been hearing all sorts of rumors and leaks in the media in the past 24 hours. And as we've been hearing from Alan over in Washington, D.C., the Trump administration even took steps. And the Israeli public has been wondering whether this is just added pressure on Iran and the Trump administration, or whether they should really be getting ready for war. And at the moment, they know they are in a state of emergency. The airspace of Israel has been closed down. Schools, businesses, all shut down. The public instructed to only leave their homes in extreme cases and in cases of emergency and extreme need. Thousands of reservists have been called up for duty, and right now the situation in Israel is on heightened alert because they do expect Iranian retaliation, although no news of that has come about yet. But we are hearing more and more from the Israeli side about measures taken, about the fact that this strike was sanctioned by the Israeli cabinet at night. And right now, senior Israeli leaders have been taken to safe locations, according to the Israeli military radio.
Noor, let's bring in Alan Fisher then in Washington, D.C. Alan, Benjamin Netanyahu there thanking the US president. What are your thoughts there?
Well, clearly Benjamin Netanyahu knows how to play Donald Trump, a man who, of course, has portrayed himself as the most pro-Israeli president that the United States has ever seen. Truman could perhaps argue against that. What we heard from Benjamin Netanyahu was addressing this effectively as also a threat to the United States, saying that there could well be attacks in the US at some point down the line. We know that the United States were aware that there was the likelihood of these attacks. That's why they took the action that they did over the last 24 hours at their embassies across the Middle East. But I was speaking to one analyst by text just in the last 20 minutes or so, and he said this is a preemptive strike by the Israelis. It's Benjamin Netanyahu preemptively killing the chances of Donald Trump reaching a deal with Iran on its nuclear program. And now it's up to the US to decide how it will respond if Iran takes action against Israel. And certainly looking at social media, there are a lot of people who would be natural supporters of Donald Trump who say that this is Israel's war and that the United States cannot get involved in this. Certainly we know from statements from members of the government just in the last hour or so that the US was not involved and did not assist. But Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has in the last hour put out a statement warning Iran it should not target US interests or personnel in the coming days. Benjamin Netanyahu has said that this operation may go on for several days. Donald Trump, who this evening was at a picnic on the grounds of the White House, the congressional picnic, it's an annual event. He made some brief remarks, did not mention what had happened in Israel, and then went back into the White House. We are told that he is there with his national security team, and it's his intention to hold a cabinet meeting with many of those national security figures first thing on Friday morning to discuss what the US should do in the coming hours.
Alan Fisher in Washington, D.C. Thank you. Let's bring in Al Jazeera's correspondent Ali Hashem, who joins us live here in the studio. We just heard from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Interestingly, he also said, "We will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons." So this is about those nuclear weapons and the danger there, isn't it?
Well, since the beginning, I mean, Netanyahu has been obsessed with Iran and mainly with Iran's nuclear program. And he's always been warning that the Iranians are after a bomb. The Iranians, on several occasions, insisted that a bomb is not in their agenda, is not on their priorities, and that they see making nuclear bombs as against their own ethics. So, I mean, this is today the moment where everyone, it's a moment of truth, where everyone is in front of the new situation, of the new status quo. He said that they assassinated or they targeted nuclear scientists and also people or facilities related or have a connection to Iran's missile program. What I know right now is that there is a meeting in Tehran. The leadership is meeting to take a decision on how to retaliate. So, and this is something that's automatic. Whenever there are big events just like this is an aggression on a country, they are taking such measures. Now, what was hit in the past hour or couple of hours, what we're hearing now is that the Natanz facility was hit, or close to Natanz facility. We don't know precisely. Kermanshah, which is also a district, a province to the northwest of Iran on the borders with Iraq, was also hit. Loristan was hit. Tehran was hit. Several areas, as we've been seeing, and as we are seeing, residential areas in the capital were hit. Now, there is a kind of a tactic the Israelis are adopting from the bigger picture in the region, where they started with hitting what they call the arms of the octopus, and then they went to the head of the octopus. It seems that inside Iran, they're also going ahead in the same tactic, whereas they're hitting the arms of the system, the main commanders, the main scientists, and who knows what's going to be next. Because what we heard from Netanyahu isn't just an attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. It's an attempt to dismantle the whole system. I mean, if this is going to continue this way, then the threat is going to be very big, and the threat of a wider escalation is going to be stressed more and more. We have to wait to see how the Iranians are going to retaliate first.
Absolutely. Ali, we're just seeing latest pictures there, a huge explosion there. That seems to be, those are the latest pictures, so that could well be yet another explosion.
Well, of course, there have been a couple of waves. The first wave that we started the coverage with, and then there was a second wave. And in parallel, there were attacks on, as I've been saying, different provinces around Iran where some vital facilities are, whether military facilities or nuclear facilities. In Kermanshah, there is some ballistic missiles launchers there. And during the attack on Israel, we've seen the Iranians launching their missiles, part of their missiles, from several areas, including Kermanshah. Now, in Natanz, just in case this is going to be confirmed or not from the Iranians, and whether we are going to see pictures, this is also something else. But there's a carnage in Tehran, as we can see. It's a very big attack, and the Israelis are saying it's going to continue, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
The main issue right now is the whole nuclear path, the nuclear negotiations path, has it evaporated completely, or there is still a chance where President Trump can jump in and try save the whole scene?
Ali, thank you for that. I want to just bring in Trita Parsi, the Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, joining us from Reston, Virginia. And just speaking there with our correspondent, Ali Hashem, there, in terms of the nuclear issue, I mean, we're seeing the latest pictures here, Trita, of those explosions. I mean, presumably there could be concern within Iran and the rest of the world about whether those nuclear facilities are hit. I mean, what happens then?
Of course, well, we've seen this extensively whenever there's been any attack by the Russians on Ukrainian nuclear facilities. There's been a major international uproar. Remains to be seen whether that will happen now, since Israel tends to get special treatment and a pass on many of these different things. But there is obviously a significant risk that if they do hit nuclear facilities, that will create not only a massive humanitarian crisis, but also an environmental crisis.
Okay.